Hello, my name is Sue Clarke. I'm a clinical lead working in clinical informatics at NHS Digital. I have an extensive nursing background in acute medicine in a large teaching trust, where I worked in a number of clinical roles for over 20 years before undertaking a trust-wide project to implement electronic rostering. After returning to clinical practice for a while, I subsequently moved to work as a clinical informatician in the Trust's ICT department. During my time in ICT, I helped to lead the introduction of electronic observations across the organisation. This was an incredibly successful programme and demonstrated benefits for patients and staff. In addition to the rollout of electronic observations, I also led the implementation of a digitised health record. This was an incredibly challenging project and gave me a useful learning opportunity in direct comparison to the electronic observations project. These experiences facilitated my move to NHS Digital and then subsequent engagement in the Florence Nightingale Foundation Scholarship. I am a trained clinical safety officer, which enables me to have the skills and knowledge to assess health information technology for its safe use in the care of patients. I currently work in the National Test Programme at NHS Digital, and my work there is one of clinical assurance of all of the digital aspects of the National Testing Programme, and that includes incident management, hazard identification, informatics, and using that data for continuous improvement. Where honestly can I start when I'm trying to describe my experience of the Florence Nightingale Foundation Scholarship? Just an incredible experience. I guess I need to start with my fellow cohort of scholars, 22 of us, all from diverse backgrounds and with an incredible opportunity to network, learn from each other and support each other. It really was remarkable now I reflect upon our time together how quickly we seemed to become a cohesive unit. We were able to be open and honest with each other. And I guess it's the shared experience that facilitates this, but it's really quite a powerful experience. And almost 2 years since first meeting, we have ongoing support informally via a WhatsApp group, and we share laughter and tears through that group. It's a fantastic group of people to be involved with, and I'm grateful that I met them 2 years ago. The core content of the Florence Nightingale Foundation Scholarship is amazing. The mandatory days offered the opportunity to learn from inspirational Florence Nightingale Foundation former alumni, and their stories are powerful and moving and gave me lots to think about and to reflect upon. The RADA experience is without doubt a standout moment. It elicited every range of emotions possible from me. I found myself out of my comfort zone in so many ways, but always completely supported by my fellow cohort members and the RADA leader. Trying to put the learning from RADA into use regularly is really difficult as an introvert. This doesn't come naturally to me, and it's definitely still work in progress. The biggest takeaway for me from RADA is that I should remain curious. I should take every opportunity available and crucially make the most of those opportunities, and to not leave anything wishing that you'd given more. I remember travelling home from my RADA experience completely exhausted, physically and mentally, but with so much to reflect upon and to act upon. And it is without doubt an experience that I would not hesitate to do again, given the opportunity. I was fortunate to complete the bespoke content of my scholarship at the Leadership Trust. I chose the Leadership Trust course because of its focus on experiential learning and the likelihood that I would be in a group of people that did not work in healthcare. I wanted the variety and network of other industries and backgrounds. And I won't share the content of the course here, as that would take away the element of surprise for others, but it's fair to say that it was a completely immersive and fulfilling experience for me. Many of the tasks put me outside of my comfort zone physically, emotionally and mentally, and I learnt that it is challenging to pick out the salient points of complex information and that can have a critical impact on the outcome. Having a clear picture of an objective and how you can take the team with you on that objective is also crucial, as is having regular stop moments to appraise the situation and plan next steps. From a very personal point of view, I learned that I could face and complete personal challenges and that I can be resilient when I need to be, and I have doubted that about myself in the past. but that I need to develop the skill of questioning decisions if I'm not happy with those decisions, and of not withdrawing if I don't feel involved. It's very easy to take a back seat when you are an introvert and don't find it easy to push yourself forward. My experience at the Leadership Trust identified a need for coaching, and I have subsequently undertaken that, and that process is ongoing. And the last thing I'd like to say in terms of standout moments for my scholarship experience is the benefit of having a mentor outside of the NHS, but equally with masses of experience and able to relate back to my experience within the NHS. I'd like to talk about my aims and objectives relevant to my area of work. I identified early on in my role at NHS Digital that the leadership challenge I faced was the transition from a role in my local acute trust, where I felt very comfortable and had an extensive network of supportive colleagues, to a national role in an organisation where I had to lay the foundations of my network and of beginning to understand a new and very different role. This was both a wonderful opportunity and a daunting challenge, one which I relished, but also created within me an unfamiliar sensation that I now know to be imposter syndrome, and I hadn't experienced that at all in my career prior to moving to NHS Digital. I therefore needed to increase my confidence and use my knowledge and expertise to inform and influence, and to try and quieten that imposter syndrome, to feel that I was adding value to the programme I was working in. It seemed to me that it was harder to identify the value I add in this new role, and I've learned that feeling I'm adding value is really important to me and how I feel as a nurse in my career at NHS Digital. My first area of work at NHS Digital was on the Global Digital Exemplar programme. Global Digital Exemplars are NHS trusts that use world-class digital technology and information to improve the quality of care they deliver. I was part of the assurance team and in the privileged position of being able to visit those trusts to witness the difference they are making to patient outcomes with the use of digital technology. And this was certainly an area where I could use my expertise and influence, but it was equally an opportunity for this to be two-way learning. I could learn from those Global Digital Exemplars too. Global Digital Exemplars are expected to share their learning. They do this in a number of ways, but primarily through blueprints, and I welcomed the opportunity to be a peer reviewer of blueprints. It was critical to get the content of the blueprints right, as they are shared on a national platform and are available for other trusts to use should they want to implement some of the technology that the Global Digital Exemplars have done. Part of my responsibility on the Global Digital Exemplar programme was to network and to share best practice via the learning networks. Being a member of the Global Digital Exemplar Learning Network has facilitated working with the Healthcare Information and Management Systems Society, known as HIMSS. And during my scholarship year, we launched the HIMSS Nursing and Midwifery Informatics Community for England, and this is an ongoing process. I've also taken part in a live panel discussion with HIMSS, and that definitely required me to channel all of my RADA experience. Quite a daunting thing to be in a live panel discussion, but on reflection, quite enjoyable too. The COVID pandemic offered me a new leadership experience opportunity working on the National COVID Test Programme. It goes without saying that the pace of the National COVID Test Programme has been phenomenal. I have experienced different ways of working and with roles that I've not worked with previously, including content writers, service designers, and a wide solutions assurance team. Taking a health information technology product from concept to go live in an incredibly short space of time requires careful clinical safety considerations, and my experience and leadership skills have been immensely helpful. There have inevitably been challenges. Rapidly evolving policy changes create challenges within the digital journey which need to be responded to in a timely way. It sounds obvious, but the leadership journey is one of continuous learning and opportunity. I've learned through my scholarship year about many helpful tools to improve my presence, increase my confidence, and enhance my communication skills. And it's fair to say that all of those tools make perfect sense when presented as a theory, but to put them into practice is a different thing altogether. And without doubt, embedding them into my daily work life is still a work in progress. But I've recognised through my scholarship year and beyond that that is actually okay. And I now have the theory so that I can revisit it often and I can try and apply it to my work, to keep practicing and to try and improve. There are many reasons why network sustainability is challenging. It's often difficult for frontline workers to engage and for them to be released to attend events, particularly if they are off-site. And networks sometimes require funding to kickstart them, and they need to have objectives with a clear sense of purpose, with actions and outputs to follow that. I think, though, that maybe this is one of the positive things of the pandemic, and that post-pandemic we will all be quite used to holding networking meetings virtually. It actually has become the norm, and therefore it may be helpful in the future moving forwards in terms of keeping networks working. There's a real opportunity post-pandemic for various nursing networks to gather momentum. COVID has created an environment for digital innovation to take centre stage. The sharing of that learning is critical to ensure we continue to accelerate the pace of digital change where appropriate for improved patient outcome, and to not return to the difficult and slow pace of change where that was not helpful and burdensome for both staff and patients. From a personal learning point of view, it has been interesting to be part of the National COVID Test Programme, both in terms of pace and scale of change, and I have had to utilise all of my experience gained from my scholarship year to influence where possible, always with the patient as my focus. Using data from incidents, for example, facilitates a continuous improvement cycle within the programme. But I've also learnt that policy changes rapidly according to the prevailing science and data, and that agile development whilst maintaining clinical safety and the perspective of the patient is paramount. During my scholarship year, I had the opportunity to revisit the hospital where I trained. The fabric of the building has changed somewhat in the 20-odd years since I was there, and this quote from Florence Nightingale is now displayed in one of the new atriums. I think the quote is more pertinent today than it has ever been. The COVID pandemic has tested us all, and I personally have valued simple things such as birdsong and the changing of the seasons. I am enormously grateful for the opportunities my scholarship year provided, and will always endeavour to uphold the timeless values taught to us by Florence Nightingale. I cannot sufficiently express how grateful I am to my sponsors. A Florence Nightingale Foundation scholarship is a remarkable opportunity, not afforded to many, and has without doubt been one of the highlights of my career. What a journey it has been. Thank you.